Good.
All right, we are live, and this is Echo Chamber. Welcome, everybody. This is the show in which we talk about the previous week. We go over stats and ask any questions. If you have any questions as a viewer, please feel free to tweet us or go ahead and send it in stream chat right now. If we get to it, we'll ask it. But let's go ahead and start us off. So this previous session, I won't do a full recap, obviously, but just to point out the big impact of the game, the MVP Mordai. We'll start there with his fireball, one-handed fireball from behind the back. Go ahead, Mordai.
Sometimes you got to find a way to pad the stats. Those skeletons. Skeletons? What were they? Skeletons?
Zombies. Zombies.
Zombies. Thank you. Zombies had it coming. Although I should have added one more to it and just threw in a little bit towards Cleek as well. Still losing sleep over that. Could have wrapped them all up in a nice little bow.
You know what? You would have done more friendly fire damage than Griswold if you had done
Good point.
Man, I could have been leading in two categories then.
Just getting a little audio feedback if somebody has the stream on in the background, if they could just mute it.
Muted here.
I'm muted.
Yeah.
Maybe it's me then. It's not showing up on mine, but we'll just mute the tab. I think that'll be easiest. It was
If
me.
that works.
I'll take full blame. I'll mute. When I muted the tab, it worked, so we'll let it go. If it was one of you guys, I would have harped on it a little bit more, but since it was me, we're gonna skim past it. Let's jump back to Mordai. So, one-handed fireball. I believe it did 31 points of damage to how many zombies?
14?
14 out of
14?
15.
14
Yeah.
out of 50. I definitely
Oh,
think you should
plus-
have just dropped it down. Plus
Steve.
Steve. That's true.
Yeah.
Did he
So
get
you know
credit?
what?
Did he get credit for that kill too?
Yeah. So you know what he did? It's part of the character kills.
So you are leading friendly fire already. So you
Yep.
are
Yep.
the leader in two fields.
Yep.
Griswold's off the hook.
All right. So Griswold falling on you is kind of like a fireball. I'm just gonna throw that out there though.
This is true. Mine was intentional. Mine was chosen. It was specifically picked. It was a necessary evil. Griswold was not.
I think you should have lowered it and just to see what Rusty would have done.
I know, and now I feel bad. I would have felt bad because he was so nice returning the bracelet after Barry stole it from Mordai later in the game.
Mordai doesn't know that.
That's true. I wouldn't. Well, it was given back to me, so Cleek was kind enough. He could have kept it. All I know is
after Cleek found it on the ground because it slipped off your wrist. That's what you meant
exactly.
to say,
And
right?
Cleek could have just pocketed it. I wouldn't have known the difference. But no, Cleek was kind enough to return my lost property. I couldn't do damage to him.
I was a little sad, and I felt like if Ryan were there and I had given it to him, because I would have definitely given it to Ryan. It doesn't matter whether he's playing Reed or Captain Jack. I would have given it to him. Doesn't matter. I'd have been like, here you go.
Yeah.
So I was a little sad that Cleek decided he'd give that back. I don't know.
Listen, as the player,
you know what?
I thoroughly enjoyed that stretch.
Yeah, props to Rusty though to playing out the lawful. What is he? Neutral, I think. Or lawful good.
No, he is lawful neutral.
One of the. Is that what it is? One of the two.
I think it is lawful good. I think it's lawful good.
Is that okay?
We talked about it in game, and
we did.
Garrett had said about props to you for playing lawful good. Nobody plays lawful good.
Lawful guessing though, so you never know.
Yeah. So that'll jump into the next question about character backgrounds and stuff. I know we've kind of had separate conversations, and we talked about like if a player isn't playing according to their character's alignment, that type of stuff. So I don't know, and maybe the audience doesn't know, what effect does that have on the character? I mean, from what I can tell, if they worship a deity, obviously that deity could be mad at them and take action against that. But what if they don't? What are the consequences for not following your alignment, or what are the benefits of following your alignment?
So I'll go first on this one because
Please.
I do have thoughts on this, because alignment to me, I don't hold very much stock in alignment. Um, just because I'm sure there's a lot of veteran players out there that may disagree or agree with me, but it's so there's a player can be so there's a lot of gray spots, if you will, gray areas with alignment, and sometimes it's really hard to justify one way or the other. Should a player act this way, or a player should act that way, and it's really hard to really justify that. Like, going back to the whole Ga incident, there might be DMs out there that may consider that act of killing her while she's pleading for life kind of an act of evil. But that's, as Adrian said, talking about the raccoon, that is it really evil, or is it a mercy thing, or so I don't know. I don't hold a lot of stock in alignment. I think it's a guideline, not a rule.
That's a good point, because like you think about human interaction. So this game is based off of human interaction, and someone could be good in heart, but
Mm-hmm.
occasionally do something a little wicked, or
Right,
or a little neutral for that matter. So I
right.
guess as far as alignment goes, it really could be a little loose. But what about the worshiping of the deity? Like, that one seems like a pretty straightforward thing.
That one's a little different. Yeah, that one's kind of there are boundaries that you have to kind of bind by, especially in paladin or cleric. Um, Druids maybe a little bit more so, or so much so too. Those are definitely the prime examples. But you could also kind of go, you could talk about like warlocks that way too. Because that they're given their powers from another being, and um, as as seen in a couple examples, where if you don't if you go away from that said being,
Look
maybe
at
that being
him.
takes it. Yeah.
Gee, you'll have to catch up on CR to get that one.
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
right. So I wasn't sure what I didn't know there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost there. I just want to say I'm on 108.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I have been cruising.
Yeah,
But yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah. So in if you were DM, and
Mhm.
a character was going against their alignment, and they did worship a deity who aligned a specific way, then there could be some repercussions.
Definitely, play that in. If your deity is, an ultra good, lawful good kind of character, and you're kind of maybe being a little chaotic, neutral, um, you know, um, maybe you get a talking to. Maybe you get a little visitor from the divine or something, or maybe one day all of a sudden something doesn't work quite as right. Eh,
But at that point, okay, so if we're talking character arcs and we're talking storyline, then I mean, couldn't that also just be that character's rebellion against that deity that they were forced to worship, or that they thought was a specific way, and now they're realizing that they aren't that, and they don't want to be that. So theoretically, they could start worshiping another deity with a different alignment at that point.
Oh, definitely, definitely, and in game uh, mechanics, that would be like where I would say, okay, you're gonna switch deities. You're gonna probably switch, your domain. But that's, or maybe multi-class. This is
Right.
gonna sound silly. Multi-class as the same class.
Ooh,
Ooh,
I didn't even know that was possible.
me
Yeah,
neither.
people have brought that up, that you could theoretically multi-class just so you can get a different subclass.
So
Um,
does that mean if you were a cleric, you could, or a druid, you could have two circles?
I guess you could. It. I don't. Yeah. I mean, it'd be a little difficult because there would be like a.
I feel like those circles would always fight each other. Like if
Yeah.
you're a cleric, you were Tempest domain, and then all of a sudden you're Grave domain.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be odd.
Yeah. I
I
don't
would
know.
say
That's
it's how
like I
you play
said.
the character, though. If you
Yeah.
play that oddity, if you play that chaos, uh, that'd be an interesting way to play it.
Yeah.
I'll definitely give you that. But G, what are your thoughts on the whole topic?
You know what? I'm in complete agreement with Eric here. I've struggled to find the benefits of the alignment for my PCs. In fact, I don't even know what your alignments are. Quite frankly, I don't pay attention to that. I more pay attention to the consistency of your character play, um, and judge you more off of that. So if it helps you as a guideline, great. But otherwise, there's no repercussions for not playing your character. I look at it as a guideline. I find it really useful for NPCs if they're pre-assigned. Oh, he's chaotic evil. Okay, I know how to play him if
Right.
it's already pre-assigned, or if I set them up in advance. That's where I really get the benefit from it. But yeah, I mean, I think the PCs, in particular, the ones we're playing, and I'm sure many out there, are just too complex. It's not just a simple chaos, simple evil, simple this or that. I prefer what drives them as opposed to what their
Yeah.
alignment is. Um, it's a guideline, but yeah, definitely pertaining to deity. I'll use deities for example. Even that, I mean, there's guidelines kind of laid out by the deity. You know what the relationship is. You know what they're looking for. I don't know if it so much goes by alignment. This deity only deals with lawful good characters.
Yeah.
It's I would judge their actions based on that deity's uh, persona and what they look for in worshippers. But I would ignore alignment for the most part. That's me. Maybe it's just first time DM not fully understanding it. That's how I utilize it.
I think that's a good. I think that's a good way to approach it. One thing that I do with the deities is, whatever the deity alignment is I allow one step to the left, or one step in each direction, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
so if it's a chaotic good deity, then I think a player that's neutral good is fine, or a player that's chaotic neutral, or chaotic neutral would be fine. Kind of that one step in one direction sort of thing. If you're looking at the alignments in a row.
Yeah,
So
I guess
so
they're the same way, but I guess I judge how they play. If they play within
Yeah,
those alignments.
yeah,
If they go too far, though, if
yeah.
they stray out of bounds. So I actually, before I realized it was an optional thing out there for 5e, and I think it was in some of the previous, was the loyalty score. I was kind of doing something similar myself, and then every time someone strayed too far from their persona or from their
Hmm.
natural alignment or from their deity, it's kind of bumped the loyalty score down a little bit. I didn't
Yeah,
call it that. It was just sort of a three strikes you're out sort of rule, or
yeah,
the further you shift, the less benefit you
yeah,
got.
yeah.
But,
so
Yeah, I
what?
mean, if um, Griswold, started becoming a murder hobo, and started whacking people off, just out of nowhere. Yeah, that would throw some questions to, what's Saint Gideon? No, Saint
Gabriel,
Gideon.
Gabriel.
Gideon.
Uh,
Yeah, and
you know,
and
I
it
I can
happened.
see some repercussions there. So
some
There were a
corrective
few
so I
action.
times that
Yeah.
Griswold
So
fell out of his natural alignment and didn't get the benefits that he was hoping for in a battle or two. Had some issues.
I totally. I mean, I do understand why he was the way he was with Ga. I mean, that's makes total sense in my mind why he, didn't want to kill her and wanted to save her, because
But
seems
he wanted to kill her.
he did. You're right.
He wanted to kill her, but he wanted her to call the rest of the Hill Giants off and then kill her to get the prisoners, because he thought it was a shortcut.
Yeah.
And that's why Emmerich fucking confused. I just want to say it.
Yeah.
Listen, I just appreciate the passion in which Evan plays Griswold. The fact that he too is also pissed is beautiful.
He was.
Yeah.
For sure, I agree, and you can't help but, like, when you're playing the characters, feel those feelings. I'm be honest, when
absolutely.
When Warwick came in and he was like jumping in, telling us all about ourselves, I'm like, dude, you're fucking new. Like, what the fuck? Not saying he was wrong by any means.
No,
Emrich's the grumpy dwarf the cranky grumpy dwarf.
The curmudgeon.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, you can't help but feel that way. Who the fuck is this new guy jumping in here telling this party about
it? Yeah, exactly. Which is great. That means if you're getting invested in the story and invested in the character, that means, I like to see that, take that as doing something right. I'm doing something right. Eric's doing something right. That's a good way to go if you guys are getting invested. So
yeah.
I judge it that way.
For sure. So what I'm getting off of this conversation is that we all three consider the alignments a starting point, but then past that starting point, what you do with the characters is that arc. What you do with the character is the growth of that character, and can't be defined by the starting point.
Right.
Yeah, and you can always adjust later. I consider it the middle ground. It's your median temperament in a way, and so you can continue to use it as a guideline.
I mean, I always look at, like, what if something traumatic happens in the storyline that might change someone's character alignment? You know what I mean?
Just gonna say that. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. All of a sudden,
that's just like human nature or dwarf nature, whatever.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We've seen the way characters progressed over this time in both campaigns. They've changed, they've adapted, they've gotten depth to them. It's
right. Like when Charlene died, Mordai just went crazy and he just started throwing fireballs at everything. Sharwin. When Sharwin went down, he said, "I'll never love again," and he just started throwing fireballs. I remember. It was yesterday.
Poor Sharwin. Until we met Sharwin's mom, that helped.
I think we met her mom first.
Then we met her again. We went back to the store.
When we went back, you were like, "Man, you kind of look like your daughter." And yeah, no, I get you.
No, Mordai does what he needs to survive.
Yeah. Steal boats,
Hey, that was a business venture. That was the start of our fleet.
Oh no, I'm still happy about it. I can't wait till we go back and we got all this, like, passive income, and we're like, fuck yeah. And then we use that to buy another ship.
I mean, because, it's been some time.
Another ship?
Well, you know what I mean.
What is this buy you speak of?
We don't spend the coin we earn.
That's true. You guys have a lot of stuff in the second campaign.
And then the third time we come back and a dragon turtle has just wiped out our entire fleet, and yeah.
What you don't know is Mordai is actually a dragon, and he's just working on his horde. That's what it really is.
I had suspicions. I'm not gonna lie.
Gold dragon in disguise.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, so let's go on to the next one. We lost E. He'll come back in a sec. I'm not fixing the cameras because he will be back. He's been having internet issues. So you weren't there last week. There he is. He's coming back. You weren't there last week for the echo chamber, right? Or no, you were there.
I was there for the first.
Towards the end of it, E and I started talking about note taking. So in campaign 2. So this is a two-part question. We're gonna resolve the first part, and then we're gonna go to the second part, and then we'll jump to the stats. So first part of the question is just for G, because Eric and I already talked about it. Note taking as a player, must have, hybrid. What do you feel?
I will say the characters will reap benefits from taking notes.
No,
Not a must-have.
you're answering as a DM. Answer as a player. Answer as Mordai. Have you been taking notes, and do you feel the benefit from your note taking as Mordai?
Yes, I do take notes. Not as good as I would like. They start out strong. They tend to get a little weaker by the end. Uh, but I reference them often actually mid campaign or when we're doing things of things that Mordai would recall. So I just assume that he has a spotty memory, particularly in the back half of some of these dragon or some of these dungeon crawls. Uh, yeah, I
You don't
reference
have
them.
that keen mind feat then, huh?
No.
No, no keen mind. So he's got this spotty memory. He recalls a bit of this and that, but I only record notes about things that Mordai would know. So not like something happened here, something happened there, but things that I need to remember, like, hey, remember you promised this or you did that, or so and so stabbed you in the back, something like that I caught. Or who the people were, where places are, because I struggle with the people and places, so I do take notes about that a lot. Um, or some of the little tidbits that were thrown out. Like I'll forget 3 weeks later what the key in our journal or in our pack is. So I have a note that'll
Yeah.
say, this key was found here, and it was noted that it looked like this, or just little things like that that I find will help me later. And there's a few times that I didn't take those notes, and I think we got in some trouble because of it. None of us remembered how to use it or what it was there for. And I know for as a DM, I've learned that there are things that I've seen in your packs that it's like they didn't take any notes. They have no idea what this is for. Or you found something, no one took the note or wrote it down, and so it's just gone like a fart in the wind.
For sure.
There's
We discussed that, like, that we had a one note, we had this and that, and we were like, oh yeah, taking notes, and then like session 4, no notes.
nothing.
And
Yeah,
like
so I still
me the
have
whole
an
time,
ongoing
I'm
one
like,
note.
I got a pretty good memory. I'm gonna remember this. And now, like this past session that we actually did, campaign 1, you were like, "What's her name?" And I'm like, "Fuck, I don't know." And I'm like streaming, so I can't go back and look at anything. And I'm like, "Huh, all right, this farmer's just gonna have to figure it out because I don't know." So you definitely nailed me on that one, and I have I now know that no, after a year later, I am not going to remember especially names. That's all there is to
Yeah.
it. And
Oh,
so
it's so tough.
Yeah.
There's so many names and places being thrown at you, and just little notes or particularly like rumors that you have. You're talking to
Yeah.
somebody in an interaction. You're learning a bunch of facts. You got to record that somewhere, else you forget it and you miss out on the story.
Yeah.
right. So I am
I'll tell
actually
you.
taking a step back and going to go back and revise notes, and that way I have it
Okay.
in paper so that I don't have to worry about digital with everything else. But
I'll tell you the point in camp. Well, so I already, as a DM, I was thinking as a DM whenever I came into campaign 2 with Eric. So I had that under my belt already. I was like, okay, I've seen the benefits or the hindrance of not taking notes. So that influenced me right off the bat. But I'll tell you the point that I realized that I need to take better notes, and he may not have, but to this day I don't know. And Eric, you could probably just answer this. We finished we finished these first couple dungeon crawls, right? And we
Uh-huh.
I think we got up to it was whenever we were up by Mirabar, and we
Uh-huh.
cleared out that second castle, the building in the mines, and we
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
out of it. And Eric, you were like, "Okay, what do you guys want to do?" We had zero things on our list. Like I did not know what hints or threads or little things that Eric may have thrown out there that we were supposed to pick up on and go next. And I was like, I have no idea where to go next or what we should even do. There wasn't even a thread for me to tug on, and I was like, oh, I'm sure there was something that he may have dropped down that I just didn't. And so whenever you guys threw out about the rod of the seven parts, like you can find the second one. It's like, okay, well that's what we're doing. That's the only place
Yeah.
I know where to go. Um,
I
other
just kind
than
of assumed that's where he was leading us because we had found the ashen rod, and I'm like, let's go back and do that.
That's
and maybe it was, and
entirely
I
up
didn't
to
think
you.
about it.
I
So
I
you,
uh I had plans. There's other things that I can do fairly. I can shift fairly easily. And I am a believer of the players tell the story, not the DM. The DM is just there to guide you along the way, sort of thing. My friend from college, the way he runs a game is, all right, you guys are in an inn. What do you want to do? He has nothing. He'll have nothing prepared. He'll have he might have like a couple like ideas for like a small dungeon or something like that, but he'll completely, well, what do you guys want to do? What do you want to do?
Do you feel
And
like that's a
it can
little
be,
easier to do with Mind Movie than it
yeah,
is digitally?
in roll 20 you cannot do that. It would be very hard. But going back in the days of second edition or whatnot, that's what we would do. You'd be like, oh, okay, you're traveling along, and let's see, random encounter. Let's see. Oh, yep, random encounter. Sort of things, and
12 skeletons jump out at you.
yeah, and it was we've had a lot of fun stories that way too. Like there's been a lot of good stories, good times that we've had doing just that. And I have friends on the other side that he'll be like, I can't DM because when I'm coming up with like a dungeon or something like that, I get stuck in the fact that there is a book on a table. Why is that book? It's not. There's no meaning for it to be there. It's just there. But in my mind, I all of a sudden I have a backstory for this stupid little book that's on a table somewhere, And he goes, I'm only one room into the dungeon, and I've already spent like 30 hours on just one room and every freaking detail of this room. I'm like, okay, that's a little overboard there, Dave, but that's okay.
And with our crew, we wouldn't even touch that book or even look
Yeah,
at that book, and then you'd be like, "Fuck you guys."
and that's what he was talking. He was talking about that too. He was like, and you guys would just completely disregard it. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what happens.
Siddle actually fireballed it and it burnt up. There goes 30 hours. All right.
Yeah.
Just
so there were a lot
rip
of
it
those
up.
early on.
Yeah.
Whenever we first started our campaigns, I was very much getting stuck in those weeds as well.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that you guys just blew right past, and it was like, screw it, I'm done playing it. But no, you're right. The Roll20 makes it a lot tougher to do that improv. I found it much easier whenever we were in person. Like, all right, I got a magic marker. Here's the map.
Exactly.
We'll just draw it out or describe it. But now it's like, oh, I gotta have the map, and that's why I'm now.
Do you though? Because think about it. Like it's nice to have some of those battle maps, but like you could literally put us on the screen of the map of the town map or whatever. It wouldn't matter, and you could just describe the scene to us, and we could still do Mind Movie.
Yeah.
And we've done a little bit of that. And there was the one time I drew the map out quickly.
Battle though, have we?
There was
one or two times, yeah.
And I just didn't feel like it had the same experience. Since we're all looking at the screen, it hasn't worked well. Everyone was out of their natural rhythm when we did it. Like, all right, you guys do better when you have the map and you can see it, and it gives it more features. Plus, I'm improvising along the way. So what I've done is I've just loaded an extra 150 battle maps that have nothing to do with any campaign into Roll20 that I've got queued up. 3/4 of the battles that you guys have had on Roll20 were from random maps that you guys made the decision on where you were going. I rolled a random adventure, or you created a random adventure. All right, so you're in a room that looks like, so I'll find one of the maps, describe that room, and that's where you're at now, and throw you guys in real quick.
I'm waiting for you to like slip in one of those maps on a second time and be like, this looks familiar.
Where?
I mark when used. I rename them as used.
I think you should still do it.
I might.
We get to an inn and it's actually what's the inn we burned down?
The
Sleeping Giant Inn, and you just named it something else, and
you guys wouldn't recognize it.
This looks pretty familiar. I think we burnt this down.
I just clicked the image.
Speaking of, I had an idea for a one shot I want to run by you. I won't give too much detail away in this session, but it has to do with the first party, similar to the way that I did the other one. However, it's going back to Phandalin in the future. That's all I'll say
That's
for
cool.
for this one shot.
That's
But
cool.
I want to talk to you later at some point, G. Work
All
out
right.
some details, and then I might want to do a one shot like this.
Let me know. Let's knock it out.
All right, and
That's
with
cool.
that, let's go ahead and jump into the stats. Go ahead and throw them up on the screen. Give me 1 sec to adjust. I don't want to cut anybody off. All right. So this was our latest encounter. So this is the Tales of the Yawning Portal,
So
episode 2 for us, right?
yeah, so just to let you know, what I did was I actually grouped all, like, each battle I put in individually, but then I just grouped. I did a shift or control click on each of the encounters. The next one over. Yeah. So I just shift. So I highlighted all of them just so we get everything from last week.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, I'm just on that latest encounter tab, so
Yep.
once I get to the all encounters tab, we can change it up. But I
Yeah,
figured this was a good place to start. It's a good place to see this number right here of 15 kills for Mordai. If I hover, that was 78.95. 79% of the damage done in this previous session was done by Mordai. Congratulations.
Thank you. They were pretty tough enemies. I'm not gonna lie. Took everything I had. It was quite the battle.
For a total of 488, or no, 468, excuse me, 468 damage.
So I was actually hoping I got credit
some of
for
that
the.
some of that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So some of that damage was some of that fire damage is Emerald and her produced flame, but I think what you're clicked on there is all Mordai's though, right?
Right, 20 of that, 468 out of 488 total. So
yeah,
20 damage was from Emerald, and the rest was Mordai.
Yep.
I was hoping to get credit for each of the rats in the swarm too for my number of kills, but what are you gonna do?
No, there's
that
only
only
one.
counts as one. Yeah,
That's just
yeah, no. So
Mordai really needed it though. He struggled the last few campaigns, the last few sessions. He didn't do his part. He didn't carry the weight. He probably caused more damage than he created. So he was overdue to carry the day a little bit.
It does remind me of a time when he only did like 2 points of damage.
I know.
I wanted to show this. All right, so we have that 488. I'm actually going to jump over to the other report, in which I want to look at our highest damage dealer. Is going to be Siddle still at this point. And I want to just compare between the two campaigns. Apples and oranges, we'll set that aside. I just want to compare his total damage over all of the encounters. So that's going to be, we have track of 3 now.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have combat this past time, or the time before, so we haven't had combat in 2 sessions for that. However, for 3 sessions of combat is 427. Mordai is beating Siddle with 1 encounter.
Oh yeah.
Mordai's damage is more than Siddle's. So
that's impressive.
How do you feel about that, G?
I feel good. There's a warm and fuzzy right here. Wizard to wizard. Although sorcerer to wizard, I should say. I'm pretty happy about that.
I think you should brag about it. I'm gonna be honest. I think you should just throw it out there to Siddle, and that you have heard of sorcerers that do a lot more damage. That
if Mordai and Siddle ever cross paths, I will.
That's a good question for another time. So we have talked about that, but I'm gonna write that down for another time. For crossing paths of campaigns, I mean, has to be done tastefully. You don't want to just throw it out there. However, I think it could create some epic twists in storylines. You know what I mean? That type of stuff that, like, someone in the party gets lost, like Dildo Dragons, that eventually makes it to the other story. What?
Yeah, I know, right?
Stuff like that. Just saying. All
Yeah.
right. Throwing it out there. And we'll
Yeah,
get
no,
back to the
I'm
stats.
all for the cameos. I think that makes it a lot of fun.
Agreed. What we never determined was what is the date of campaign two? Um, I've thought about this many a time. Do we cross paths with one of the adventuring groups at a much earlier date, a young Dildo Shaggins, or even more fun potentially is very old Mordai, um,
Yeah,
if they're offsets.
That would be a good twist.
yeah, yeah.
Mordai has retired. He's hanging out by Boldar's Gate with his fleet of ships.
I was gonna say you mean Commodore Mordai.
Commodore Mordai just sitting there relaxing, and yeah, Cyril comes across him and wants to become the apprentice.
So I'm just gonna leave it out there as to be determined. We'll see what the future brings.
I think you two are gonna have to get together on this. It would blow minds. That's all I'm
You
saying.
know what?
I can hear Evan right now saying, "This is amazing." That was my best Evan impression. Evan, I
It's a
love you.
good one. You've got to figure it out.
I think it was spot on. It's not as good as my "Go eat a tree."
Oh my gosh. He was so sincere about that. I love Evan. Love him.
Go eat a
That
tree.
was his best inspirational speech.
You need some carbs. Go eat a tree. Love you, Evan. All right, let's jump into the damage output. So I went ahead and just wanted to show the tree map. Fireball, obviously the biggest thing. If we pull that aside, there are plenty of other damage types here. Is Mordai in the unarmed strike? No. Okay, I was curious about that. So if I highlighted that, so it's just Cleek in the unarmed strike. He is second in damage. A little frustrated about that as Barry. Even Emerald's like catching up to me. What the hell?
I know Barry's been off his game recently. He's overdue.
You know, it's because I've been more focused on team based,
Mhm.
worried about the healing, casting bless.
Yeah.
Before I was going in with Shatter Spike, as my
Mhm.
immediate like "Ugh,"
Yeah.
Yeah,
and now I'm kind of realizing Barry's intentions and like taking a step back and being like, okay, I got to be a party person here, and like bless is typically my first thing, maybe Bane or something like that when I get there. There's a couple others, but I think that's probably the way I'm going to play Barry. So it does kind of remind me of the difference between two other clerics. One was a healer and the other was, more of an attack person who would,
yeah.
guiding bolt or inflict
Yeah.
wounds and stuff like that.
TR.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how
Yeah.
two of the same characters can be played completely different, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yep.
I don't expect Barry to my chagrin. I don't expect Barry to ever be up there at the top. I am impressed at Mordai, and I will say it again. He is MVP. Until I see this bar right here higher than this bar, Mordai's MVP.
All right. All right. I'll take it. Mordai has a lot left in him. We'll see how it goes. Whenever he pops around corners, he can do good things.
And if we look at the tree map, I mean, Emerald's getting up there. I can see Emerald giving Cleek a run for his money here soon as well. Like after she gets some Druid levels and stuff, I could definitely see it.
Yeah. The,
Yeah.
the levels will change things a lot as that goes up and increases.
Once she figures out her abilities too, like there's she hasn't shape shifted all yet, and I think that's her thing is I can't remember what her circle is now. I think about it. But
Something with water, right?
um, Well, that's her. That's her Ganassi or
Yeah,
Genasi
her
or
race.
her race. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
I don't know either. But I don't see, and I could be completely wrong, Ashley, but I don't see her as that healing type. Like Adrin
mhm,
is definitely a healing druid. Like
mhm.
that's and maybe that wasn't the intention, but that's intention is short for intention, by the way. I just made that up. I don't know where it came from. I'm sorry. Maybe that wasn't his intention to begin with. However, yeah, you're going to use it. Feel free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, it's going to catch on. Um, but that's where he's at. That's what he's realized his need for the party and his goal is. I feel, and I don't see um, Emerald going down that same path. So
No.
again,
No.
two
No.
of the same characters that are
Yeah.
played completely different. So it's kind
Yeah.
of cool
Yeah.
that it has that diversity that you could play the same character type in like three different campaigns and be completely different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm amazed by that still. I
Yeah.
did not expect that whenever we started a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about this. Jack is a fighter. Amrook's a fighter.
Whew.
Again, yeah, that's good comparison. I mean, it
I
just
mean, it just completely.
Jack's another one that hasn't found his legs yet.
that's why I'm glad Barry's a cleric. We don't have a cleric in campaign one, so Barry is the greatest. That's all there is to it.
Greatest cleric in any of our campaigns.
Same with Mordai. We don't have a sorcerer in any
This is
campaign.
true.
I mean, we
Yeah.
can kind of compare it to a wizard a little bit, but I
There's no
mean,
comparison.
apples and pears. You know what I'm saying? They're a little bit more similar than apples and oranges, so that's why
I'm
Well,
with you.
similar. Yeah. Kind
I'm
of.
with you.
Yeah.
texture was anyway. So I also wanted to point out on this character list, there's a character that we do not have. Evan, if you're watching, Legion is not on this leaderboard at all.
Yeah. No, he has not been. He's not been present since we started taking stats. So
Evan, you should
yeah.
rectify that. Keegan, you should get in there. Murph, I hope to get you soon. Um, it was good to have Rusty back. I would like
It
to get
was.
Ryan back in there as Jack. I know
I
he's
know.
intermittent, but for sure. It's definitely a good campaign, and something we
Oh
didn't
yeah.
get to talk to, maybe we'll come back to, is the stealing of Mordai's stuff. Um,
What?
good stuff. All right, so
I
let's
you
jump.
know I as that was going on, I was really curious in my mind how many messages go back between Reed and Garrett in campaign one. I can just imagine how many
I don't think we're allowed to
whispered.
say without our lawyer present. That's all I'm going to say about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I have to imagine that there is a lot of whispers that goes back and forth between you two.
I
I
think
don't recall any whispers, Your Honor.
I don't think Reed plays to the full
Let me just clear
rogue.
that chat.
I don't think Reed plays to the full rogue ability for uh, the newness of our group. I think we'll get there, but I think he has avoided severe metagaming in that fashion uh,
Yeah.
to avoid some of that. But I think
Right.
now that we're getting more into the RP, I definitely see him, and especially us figuring out loot situation, that type of stuff. I definitely see him getting more into it.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but that's just my thoughts.
It's
Other
shifted. It's
other
definitely
other
shifted in the
than that,
positive direction.
I cannot comment on anything without my lawyer present. Any whispers that I may have seen since we started streaming, I have no knowledge of. It's like a weird amnesia.
I got you. Yeah, it's that selective blindness.
However, chat does see the whispers back, not the whispers to the DM, but the whispers back.
Oh
So
yeah. Okay.
if you
Okay.
go back and watch the killing of Ga, that's what I think I may name that episode. Um, Reed must have whispered to G at some point about his intentions to kill Guh, and as I was saying, Amrook's a killer. I see the chat message come back from Garrett to Reed saying, "Go ahead and roll for damage."
Go.
Or I think it might have been roll to hit. And if you go back and watch the Twitch stream, you can kind of see that play out as well. Because I had
The
the
timing on
the
that
chat
worked
up.
out really cool.
Yeah. Oh, and you did a great job of tying them together. Like I was after I said it and I looked down and saw yellow. I'm like, is he whispering to me? What? Oh, and then it triggered that you were whispering to Reed because it doesn't say right away. Like it doesn't say who you're whispering to. It just says the DM whispered.
See, if it wasn't for the Twitch stream, and now that I knew that, I'd create second characters for everybody and just whisper random messages to these no characters. So you're seeing all this going on in the background.
I mean,
Just have some fun with it.
since most of us don't have the Twitch stream on or don't pay attention to the Twitch stream while it's running, it's not a big deal. And to be honest, it's there. Like, and I see it, but at the same time, I don't. I avoid it. The only thing I look at the chat for is numbers now because I've told you guys, since I'm running the stream and stuff, I'll text you if I need to whisper. And I think we're at a point now since we've talked about just saying it out loud. Kind of like the way that I did with Barry and Mordai. Like
That worked out great.
I enjoyed that interaction so much more than whisper. No offense to anybody who enjoys the whisper more, but for me to say Barry's gonna take that bracelet, it was just comical. And then to actually be successful the first time, it was like yes. And then the second time, I was like, crap, it didn't work. What am I gonna do? So,
you know what?
Go ahead, Eric.
There's a time and place for the whispers. I think.
The
something like
checks
that
for sure. Like if you're against an NPC, I can definitely see whispers being effective because that is one person's perception of. But if it's a group interaction, you know what I mean, something you're doing to another party member, that I can kind of see being a little bit more public.
Or if it's something that's really dramatic, I think something that could have a dramatic effect where everybody just like, whoa, fuck, dude, what happened? Sort of, if you're trying to go for that effect,
like the kidnapping of Amrook.
Yeah. That was critical.
Perfect example.
And so that is DM discretion. I completely understand that. Just so you know, Twitch will see your whispers back. So if you don't want Twitch to see it, text them. But I definitely I think you're right, Ian, and I know G's on your side. There's time and a place, and it's just discretion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you listed two great ones there. I mean, one, Reed whispering the kill on Guh. That was beautifully dramatic because it was a whisper, and it came in from two different directions, two different kill shots. That was one where I'm glad he whispered. It wouldn't have quite been effective if you guys were both like, I want to kill him, and I do too. Yeah, it kills a little bit of that, sweet moment. On the other side,
again, it could have gone the other way. It could have been a race to kill her. Like Reed's trying to shoot the arrow faster than Amrook's axe could collide. So it could still work. That's all.
Yeah, turns a little more comedic than dramatic, though. So certainly it works both ways.
Yeah.
But the theft was beautiful. I'm glad that worked out. But I'll say another one in which I really like the being on the whisper side of things is when we stole the ship. Whenever I was setting up that plan where Mordai disappears.
That was awesome.
Watching everyone's reaction, as the morning occurs and everything plays out, and Eric played it perfectly too about what's going on.
I think we all kind of knew what was going on. I hate to tell Mordai, we all knew what was going on. We just didn't know how he did it at that point.
Yeah, but that was the beautiful thing. Like what? How? It was fun. I enjoyed it.
And then to hear that he sent him to a brothel that he paid off, and yeah.
Yeah, there was some good back and forth there with Eric.
There was some roles there too that were pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean,
those are essential.
Not Cleek getting two criticals in the same round, good, but they're still pretty good.
Or Mordai beating Cleek in a athleticism check.
Right.
But
Was that the grapple?
The grapple, yeah.
arm wrestling.
Oh, I thought you were talking about whenever Cleek tried to grapple.
That
Oh,
too.
yeah, I was talking about the
Yeah,
grapple.
yeah.
I forgot
Yeah.
about the arm wrestling.
Yeah.
That was with Barry, and
That's right.
I think I was going easy on you. That's all I can say. So next stat.
Actually, I didn't realize Mordai had the greatest strength.
Next
I
stat
was
that
checking, so that was an accurate depiction.
we're not talking about. And next stat that we're going to talk about that makes Mordai the MVP has nothing to do with an arm wrestling contest that he was given by Barry. Anyway, is the inspiring leader being the largest healing in the campaign.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you think about it, you're giving each of us 11, every party member, 11 points of healing because you're giving those temporary hit points, and you're giving that once a long rest, right?
Yeah, once a long rest.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's pretty crucial. And then as we go into battle, I mean, it's pretty crazy.
That cheat played out
You know what?
well.
And I didn't
was
include
happy with the way it came out. Sorry, go ahead.
these stats are not including the last when we stopped. So there's another 11 times 5, so 55 more points of healing.
Speaking of which, I got a question here. So depending on where it stopped, before we start the next round boot, we're kind of rushing the long rest there. Is there anything else we can get in before the long rest? If we wanted to do one more thing, or is it kind of done and we're picking up at the start of it? What would you rule as a DM here?
No, you'll be able to. It depends. But okay. Yeah, you could probably get something into it.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Cure Wounds coming in close second. Who has Cure Wounds? Wait a sec.
That's you.
Barry?
Yeah.
Oh, because I'm a cleric. I don't know what I was thinking there. I thought I was a druid. I was thinking Emerald. I was like,
Barry would have a little more if he chose to heal Mordai the previous session.
As far as Mordai knows, he was healed. That's all I'm saying. It was the best healing that Mordai has ever gotten before in his life.
It's true.
All right. So we can quickly go over the individual stats. We'll skip Barry because he sucks. I'm just kidding.
No, let's see what we got going on here.
He's going to grow, and we're not going to worry about it. So, Jack only attacked 4 times and 50% hit rate. Want to point that out.
Caption. I like that better actually. Caption, Jack.
Caption.
Oh yeah.
I think you should keep that.
I think we need to pay our statistician more. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, really.
This is true. He does good work.
Another 50% hit rate, pretty much there for Emeralds, but a 90% hit rate for her. So
yeah, she's hitting pretty good with the.
She hits very high percentage. Ashley, if you're watching, you hit very high percentage in both campaigns. I don't know what it is. You do. You luck of the dice, I guess. Sure, you're not playing a halfling.
Yeah, really.
Halfling in disguise.
I like it. That actually sounds like a really cool song name.
Halfling.
For our two bards in campaign 1, if they're like, what should we call this song? I'm be like, Halfling in Disguise.
Halfling in Disguise.
If we look at Mordai's damage, Mordai has an incredible hit rate as well. Look at that. He's only missed 3 hits in 3 sessions.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I mean,
of course, those 3 hits all came in a row, and they were pretty critical.
One of those hits was 2 points of damage, but that's still better than our 0 points of damage done by O'Doon. With 2 hits. 2 hits for 0 points of damage. Cleek, I don't even know if I want to look at this stat. Look at this.
Yeah, I know.
Look at this. 29 attacks, 28 of them hit.
Holy crap.
When you have a +9 to hit, you hit everything. I think Eric is going to have to start throwing stuff at him that has something to dodge or something.
Well, what's funny is spoiler alert, the 2 beings that were in the room where you guys are resting at were actually they are actually 2 monk type characters, and I so badly was like, oh, I want to see these guys go up against Cleek to see how they go, and then Mordai completely railroaded that.
Wait, which one was this?
That's
And
whenever you pour the poison sleeping dust into their mouths before they could fight us.
Oh yeah,
He forgot he did it. He's like, oh yeah, Mordai was
I totally
awesome.
forgot I did it.
I don't think Garrett is Garrett when he's playing Mordai. Garrett is actually Mordai. He has no, like, the two people don't
no
cross
recollection.
paths. He doesn't know what happens during a session. And then he starts looking at notes. He's like, Mordai, you got to work on your memory, dude. Like, what is this?
Yeah, completely forgot about that one. That was, yeah. Did not think that was going to work. That was just chaos. That was not an intentional kill at all.
And we do have Legion. I'm just going to point it out again. I don't know what's going on here. 92 hits for Legion. Wait,
what?
it says Barry. We have a Legion tab that says Barry and has.
Oh, you know what? You know what?
Everybody, though, isn't it?
Because I created because there's no stats for him, so there's nothing there for him. So
yeah, that's
so
just the total
like
group.
everybody.
So this is actually Barry's stats. That's what I'm gonna say.
Oh,
92 attacks
yeah.
by Barry. That's solid.
Yeah, he's got over 1,000 damage. Like, you don't mess with this cleric. You know what I'm saying?
It's a badass cleric there.
So I do have two questions. I'm going to hold one of them. I just thought of this one, and I want to ask this one so bad. We're going to ask it next Tuesday, though. I give you a little sneak peek of it. It's I made a comment, Asbury, or in our last session, about typically when playing, you as a player and even as a DM, it's like a battle, it's like a dance between the player and the DM of trying to outsmart each other. You know what I mean? Like you're pretty consistently, you're like, okay, he's bobbing this way, I'm gonna bob this way. It's not an aggressive outsmart, but it's a dance. With this past session, I made the comment about Barry and Mordai are doing that dance. Like, it's player on player dancing, as opposed to player NPC dancing. But so that's what we're going to talk about next time. I'll just drop that little tidbit, and then for this question, we had briefly talked last time about role playing being one of the easiest sessions as a DM. How do you feel about the role playing that Barry and Mordai were back and forth as a DM? Is that, like, at some point are you like, okay guys, stop being children, let's get on with the story, or are you kind of like, no, this is comical, this is gold?
No, this is good. This is an interaction between two characters. I have, you can do that all night long. I don't care. I take that. I mean, I say that with a grain of salt a little bit.
Careful what you wish for.
I'm sure Rusty and Ashley were just kind of like, okay, guys, come on. But no, I think it's fantastic. I love the interaction between two characters. Whether it be a negative interaction or a positive interaction, it's always that's half. That's half of D&D right there.
I enjoyed that aspect so much more this time, and that's no offense to anything. It was just, I think it was just like the comedy behind it. Behind Barry trying to steal this, Barry trying to do this, Barry, you know what I mean? And it was just constantly trying to mess with Mordai. And I feel like I have been on the other side as Amrook and watching Reed harass Griswold, and it's not been as funny. So I don't know. I don't know how I would feel as DM. Gee, you've been on that other side when Reed is dropping ball bearings in Griswold's mouth. How is that for you?
Oh, I love it. As a DM, I particularly love it. Listen, forced role play, travel, and battles are great. I feel like they can get really redundant if you don't have enough of that interaction going on separately. I think back at some of my favorite moments across the campaign, and they're definitely those interactions. The the ball bearing events, the period in the woods where again Adrian was flying through the den while everyone's interacting with each other. I had to do almost nothing there, but that was beautiful. That was one of my favorite interactions.
I love that Eric kept going. He's like, so over here.
Oh, it was perfect, and those are the ones that make the story. It's those kind of interactions. Whenever Griswold fell on, well, actually, when he took off and when he fell on Amrook, that wasn't technically really in battle. That was outside of it, interaction. Yeah, those are some of my favorite parts. And I don't know what you're talking about with Mordai and Barry. Mordai had no idea that we were interacting. Mordai just thought him and Barry were good friends.
I meant that because they are such good friends. When Barry got caught on the bracelet, and Mordai was like, "Man, this is a hazard," and tucked it in. You know what I mean? That interaction, that caring. That's what I was talking about.
No, it's my favorite part. It's where I get to sit back and enjoy the story. It's something that I didn't have to force or create. It just happened naturally. Right. So I love it it's a great story. It's fun to watch. It's not in any way forced by me. And my goal is just to enable the story to continue. If I could have zero part in it, it's the best scenario, and just set things up so it works. That's perfect. And that just means that you guys are engrossed in your characters and actually going back and forth. And I love it. That's the most rewarding part to me as a DM.
I think it really helps build the character as well. You know what I mean? It helps build a relationship between the two, but it also helps you like figure out your character and figure out, oh man, this guy's kind of a trickster. You know what I mean? That type of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Barry Mordai has definitely helped me out with Mordai.
Yeah, no, that's what makes the character. That's what they're not. He's not just a cleric that does healing spells. He's he's a little bit of a dick in that way.
I mean, he was
in a good natured way, right?
He was definitely provoked. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
All right, I'll kick it off to you guys. Any final thoughts before we close out?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I had a couple and I didn't write them down. So if I think of them all, I'll take them for next time. But
that was me too. There was one that I was thinking of during game, and I was like, I got to remember that for Tuesday. And then I was like, crap, I forgot what it was.
Yeah, I should have Mordai write some of this stuff down. I don't even remember the game.
I may not take good notes, but I have like questions about
sessions. Yeah.
So I mean,
I should check Mordai's notes and see if he wrote anything of interest.
Yeah, maybe just have a conversation. Like I feel like you look in the mirror and like go back and forth. You could have a conversation.
It's like Gollum and Smeagol going at it.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, everybody watching, thank you for tuning in. Hope you had a good time. Tune back in Saturday. Yeah, Saturday.
Saturday so far. I think we're still waiting on some people to answer.
Hopefully this Saturday, maybe Sunday, we'll see whatever works best. We will tweet about it. If you have any questions or thoughts on any of the episodes or additional questions for us to go over during Echo Chamber, please feel free to tweet them to us or ask them during the session. It's a little hard for us to comment in the stream chat because we are doing something, but we may see it on the YouTube channel in the comments, so feel free to go to the YouTube channel as well.
That's good. I keep an eye on them too. I do have the stream chat here because I know you're busy, Carl. So I'll see him anytime.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you Saturday.